the Legendary Chalice, Popeye the Sailor Man, the Invisibility Cloak, and many other hidden details and references you've never noticed before in the Cuphead Show. Warm greetings to all my furry friends, it's me, MultiAlexson. There may be spoilers ahead, so watch out. Get cozy, grab some tutti frutti. We're about to enter the magical world of the Inkwell Isle. It is hard to miss the pleased grazing goat near the elder Kettle's house. This character is, by the way, a reference to Mickey Mouse and his funny pet, which you might have seen in the Disney short film Steamboat Willie. In addition, the fish swimming in the aquarium, the telephone and Horace Horsecollar are also pets of Mickey Mouse, who appeared in various short films Silly Symphonies. As for those pretty little flowers on the windowsill, they look like one of the first bosses in the game, called the Cagney Carnation. Also, a precious gramophone from Elder Kettle's house. This is a reference to the Cranky Kong from the video game Donkey Kong Country, who had the same old-fashioned gramophone and similar to doing duties. The background characters that appeared at the Sinister Fair created a feeling of déjà vu for many viewers, including me. This is not surprising because the game's art style was inspired mostly by 1930s cartoon shorts, especially the early works of Disney in Fleischer Studios. That is why we see familiar characters that have been redone a little bit, but are still easily recognizable. For example, here's Felix the cat, and this is Flip the frog. He even has a butterfly, and there's also his Goofy, the very funny dog that I really liked being a child. And there's Oswald, the lucky rabbit popped up in this shot. And here's the Bimbo puppy. And finally, this the bulldog is somewhat similar to the character Spike from Tom and Jerry. If you notice anyone else, write in the comments down below. When Cupheads and Mugmans hit the road from the devil at the fair for the first time, they accidentally came across one of the photo booths. You can see a muscular man in a sailor top on it who has an anchor tattoo on his bicep. I think this is a reference to Popeye the Sailor Man.
I'm Popeye the Sailor Man.
Even in the same scene where the devil was playing catch with the guys, you can see the moment when they get into a creepy corridor with eyes. The guys are trying to find a way out there, but instead of a door, an unpleasant facing a wall awaits them. That one and the other torture ideas for them were taken from the animated short Bimbo's Initiation by Fleischer Studios.
Hello, May. I've got a bone to pick with you.
In the second episode of the Cuphead Show, the hellish child, whose soul was possessed by Satan, was pretty much messing with everyone, even Elder Kettle. It is curious that we can find some of similarities with this child in a short film called Mickey Plays Papa. According to the plot, a child appeared on the threshold as well and arranged a cheerful life for the man's mouse later. In addition, there are two more interesting details in the second episode. The first one hidden in a bowling ball. Look, it is a Windows symbol divided into 4 parts. Yes, this is the Microsoft logo. Perhaps there was a way the creators wanted to thank their fans for helping them spread the Cuphead game to even more players. The second detail appeared thanks to the Hellish child when he threw a large chair at Cuphead and Mugman. Such a strong blow caused a small hole in the wall, and if you look closely, it is silhouette recalls the shape of the devil. Oh god, I don't know where this kid came from, but it doesn't smell right. I feel we'll meet him or her soon. Do you remember how the Mugman flew around the huge head of the Cuphead with a rather funny sound by a biplane in the introductory scene? So that moment was definitely a reference to the famous Universal Pictures intro. In addition, we can find the other interesting details in the serial intro. For instance, the Inkwell Isle map that appears immediately after Mugman's flight was more based on the Cuphead game. Well, here I should probably explain something. What other game did it come from? It is not known by all, but the Cuphead Show is based on the popular computer game Cuphead by MDHR. Therefore, I refer to this primary source in most of the cases. Being back to the conversation about the map, it is worth mentioning that the Ink Island in this series looks very similar to the map from the game version. Sure, some objects can be found on the new map, but still the main objects have moved to the new island. For example, an observatory, an Elder Kettle house, a lake with a quadratus, an old city, a devil's fair, which by the way was named after an old arcade game called Carnival, and an island with a castle remains on the devil's lair. Besides, you can see 3 bosses from the game on the map, a Captain Brennybeard, a Mermaid Calamaria, and a Grim Matchstick. The dragon is the only one who has appeared in the series so far, so I leave the mermaid and the captain references for the second season. Only let's make a deal that I'll post the video with the hidden details on the second season if this video gets at least 1000 likes. I think we've made a deal. And the last detail is that the musical ensemble from the intro is a direct reference to the characters from the short film Musicland, created by Walt Disney Productions. Also in this scene, you can notice that the member of the ensemble, the character saxophone, he doesn't have a name by the way, plays an instrument that refers to himself. This visual pun used to be often exploded in all cartoons from the 1930s, so it appeared here not by accident. In the third episode, while Cuphead and Mugman were arguing over which Obama ate the ice cream, Kettle was sitting at the table and reading the Inkwell Isle's newspaper. It seems nothing unusual, but it's not quite true. You can see a ship called Flytrip in the newspaper, a small hint from the creators that soon the guys will have new adventures with another boss from the game. Why am I always talking about some kind of bosses? Everything is clear. These bosses were the hidden dealers of the devil in the game, and the brothers fought with them. They tried to collect all the souls of his daughters at the request of the Satan in order to eventually save their skins. Of course, the meeting with the bosses is beaten in a completely different way in this series, but it should be so. It is still a show, not a game. And since we're already talking about them, let's start with the double boss, Ribby and Croaks. That is what they called in the original. And yes, these names already contain a reference. Ribby and Croaks can be a play on two names of iconic boxing characters, Rocky Balboa and Apollo Creed. We figured out the names, now let's move on to the appearance. Firstly, I'll note that the character Ribby is a frog. He has long legs, and Croaks is a toad, he has short legs. Secondly, the touchstone for the inspiration of these amphibian fighters was the already familiar character Flip the Frog. In the third, the gloves on their hands were references to the Balrog from Street Fighter. In addition, Ribby and Croaks club covers were partly inspired by cartoon characters such as the Cuphead Hotel by Fleischer Studios and the Woodland Cafe by Walt Disney Productions. What a wonderful reference I found in the art of Cuphead. I definitely recommended reading this book to all fans of the game. There is a history of creation, and early concepts, and realized ideas, and many other details that you didn't know about before. There weren't without some interesting references in the legendary Porkrind store. For example, the small bottles on his counter are magic potions that gave Cuphead and Mugman additional abilities in the game. The second detail was hidden on the wall. Look at this small ad, which says "Wanted," which depicts some kind of vegetable banner. This is the second subtle hint from the creators on future bosses, in this case on the root pack. Another boss hint appeared when the Porkrind was making some notes on the brochure. Mind you, only the large horseshoe and a horse are depicted. This is a direct reference to the character Frulap, Minnie the boss from the Cuphead game. It symbolized a gambling game called Derby, so Pig didn't take notes, but bets on a horse racing in the brochure. So in the future, the Cuphead and the Mugman will probably visit these games as well. Besides, this old arcade machine called Dirk Dangerous is probably a reference to the old video games Rick Dangerous. In it, the main character was also a fearless British agent whose task took place in the jungles of South America. And last, most of the Porkrind's items in the game have been collected from games like Star Tropics, Phantasy Star, Beyond Oasis, Landstalker, Final Fantasy, and Castlevania Bloodlines. Here is an example, a Spears of Eric card from the game Castlevania, and this is Rick's hat from the game Rick Dangerous. Although the appearance of it still resembles an Indiana Jones hat. Yes, by the way, there were also some kind of hat in the series, but it had a completely different color, so I don't know who it belongs to. In general, the creators wanted the Porkrind shop to look like he traveled not only within the Inkwell Isle, but also beyond it. Well, we figured out the things of a pig, now it's time to talk about its owner. For example, you knew that initially the creators planned to make not one store on the Inkwell Isle, but a whole network. Moreover, its owner would be not one character, but the whole family. I had no idea of it, and the idea was that each family member on one of the 3 islands had his own shop. Sounds cool, but later they decided to opt for only one legendary Porkrind, so that he had enough time to become a main character. It is also worth mentioning that Porkrind's look is a mix between the shop owner from Sega Wonder Boy 3 and the pigs from Fleischer Short, Betty Boop, Be Up to Date. There are also interesting drawings in the room of Cuphead and Mugman which can be ignored. The first one near the bed. It was a picture of the pirate skull hinted at another boss from the game, this time the character Captain Beard. The second drawing reminded me of an epic scene from King Kong, where the planes flew around the Empire State Building, but I'm not that much sure about that. Do you remember Cuphead on the Cuphead Show trying to guess the tune? Yes, unfortunately he didn't manage to get it, but the song is very popular. It is a famous English lullaby, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, written at the beginning of the 19th century by the poetess Jane Taylor. So just I mentioned the Kindays, now be ready for one interesting facts about them. The image of this character was a mixture of Cap Calloway, Clark Gable, the Joker and the Coachman from Pinocchio. And as you can see, it has all turned out to be a pretty good character. We've already seen many of the bosses that were shown in the Cuphead Show, but besides them, there were also mini bosses in the game. For example, Security Bee from the level Honeycomb Herald, there were also characters from the level All Bets Are Off, Chips Badigan, Big Dideable Mangustin, and Domino's Pip and Dot. And these guys, Mavsky Chernikov and Sergeant Gumbo Gumball, appeared from the Sugar and Shimmy level. There were many similar scenes from all Disney and Fleischer Studios in the 6th episode, titled Ghosts Are Not Real. For example, these dancing skeletons were taken from a short film called The Skeleton Dance. And the idea was living tombstones was taken from the Fleischer Studios cartoon Sweeney Sceneries. You can see an analogy with the episode from the Disney cartoon Haunted House even in this scene, where the ghosts began to get out of the coffin and play instruments. And the last eye-catching thing is the evil trees from Snow White. Besides the analogies, there was another interesting scene in this episode where Cuphead and Mugman were trying to escape from a pack of ghosts. If you freeze the frame in it, you'll notice two characters from the game. You'll find the Blind Spectre on the left, the first face of the Phantom Express. The second was hidden in the lower right corner. It was a ghost mouse named Werner Wehrman. In the game, this character resembled Mortimer Mouse from the Mickey's Rival. In addition to these characters, I was also interested in this mighty warrior. Who do you think it could be? A tricky root pack, which includes 3 different bosses, obviously spoiled the quiet life of Cuphead and Mugman. For reference, Cell Spotter is the potato, Ole Bulb is the onion, and Chansey Chantenay is the carrot. Interesting facts, Cell's character is mostly based on the multilocular potato from the Fleischer short Tears of an Onion. Also, the cartoon carrots and onions are also somewhat similar to the characters of Chansey and Ollie. And the second interesting detail appeared on the eyes the carrot. Look how they're spinning! This mesmerizing glance refers to another character with the same glance, a snake named Kaa from the Jungle Book of Disney. An invisible sweater which was knitted of unusual thread by Mugman will protect the soul of the Cuphead from the evil hands of the devil. So said Quadratus, a wise advisor who knows everything in the world. I'm not sure, but maybe it is a reference to Harry Potter and his invisibility cloak, because according to legend, the mantle was invented to hide from death, like the sweater from the devil, but this is just my guess. It is also worth noting that in the game, Quadratus was not an advisor, but an accountant, who tells the player how many times during the whole game he died. The character himself was probably based on the wise lady of the lake from the legends of King Arthur, and his creepy face was inspired by the ghosts appearing in the Fleischer short Sweeney Sceneries.
Nobody!
The paintings which the devil is depicted in, as the image of a spider, a goat and an unusual dragon, are a direct reference to the game images of the devil. Besides, the image of the devil was largely taken from such short films as Hell's Bells, The China Shop and Betty Boop, Red Hot Mama. A new attraction named the Obliterator, which appears in episode 9 of the Cuphead Show, is nothing but a reference to the final phase of Beppy the Clown, another boss from the game. In addition, the image of this attraction was a tribute to Tim Burton and his horror carousel from the movie Beetlejuice.
It's showtime.
It is a cruel truth, but Porkrind really wanted to eat this baby. It is good that the boss from the game Grim Matchstick arrived in time to help. By the way, this dragon was named after the legendary animator Betty Boop, Grim Netwick, and it was based on the dragon boss from the old game Mega Man 2. It is no secret that the main characters of Cuphead and Mugman are based on old cartoon characters. But which exactly? The critics said that for the most part it was a Bimbo Puppy, Mickey Mouse, and Felix the Cat. And this is quite noticeable. And who founded the image of the elder Kettle? Probably the character Mr. Coffee Pot from the short film Picnic Panic. Both characters have even bowl-shaped children to take care of. Among other things, according to an interview of Studio MDHR, the violet liquid inside the Cuphead's and Mugman's head is the essence of their soul. It is funny, but why Cuphead takes this cookie and dips it in his soul in this series?
I don't know.
You must have been surprised when Miss Chalice turned into some kind of spirit and flew away at the end of the episode. It is obvious for all fans of the game, but for those who are not familiar with it, it is not. Therefore, it needs to be explained. Firstly, this character hasn't been in the game version yet. It'll appear in the new upcoming Cuphead update called Delicious Last Course, which will be released in the summer of 2022. Secondly, the young character appeared as a result of the Legendary Chalice, a game character which was often captivated by bad ghosts in a trash can, but Cuphead or Mugman saved her. Ironically, everything happened exactly in the opposite way in the series. Now the guys are in prison, and she is free. Do you think in the second season Miss Chalice will come to rescue them, or not? That is all the details and references I found. Let me know in the comments below if I missed any. And don't forget to put a hot like and click on the subscribe button, so you will not miss my new videos. As always, it was MultiAlexson. See you in the next video, my dear fire fans.
How do I look?